Hello my lovely Florasis fans and my subscribers and my viewers and my friends. Hello to everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you can see the title of this video, so you know exactly what to expect. Today I'm going to share all my feedback as well as using, well, let me try as many as possible to use on my face. So today's entire look going to only use all Florasis products. So I'm sure you would be interested, then keep watching. Just a small background about this video. This time Florasis was very kindly invited me to actually test out their new product. Thank you so much Florasis to providing me the opportunity. So they sent me their new product for me to test it out, and you guys already know that I actually own about 80% of Florasis product as well. Although today is a full face makeup with just Florasis, but I will be more focusing on sharing my constructive feedback about their new products. So lots to cover. I hope to not split this video, but if I have to, then it's going to be a part 2. Firstly, to start with, their lovely lip care lip balm, the little pot you guys see on their website. Oh, by the way, today I'm going to include all product links in the description box to save some of your time, so do go there and check it out, you're interested ones. This is the little pot. Sorry, I couldn't find my little, scoop. How? It's here. To be honest, I don't really use it. You do supposed to use it, which is more hygiene, right? So this little pot, which I already have it myself, and this time they also sent me one, and because I was going to check out whether was this lip balm or was the lip scrub. It's like a light pink bottle. I'm going to buy that one myself. So this time I was hoping going to be that lip scrub, but they actually sent exactly the same one I already own. So I'm going to include this to my next giveaway video. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then please do. So we quickly apply some of this one. This is how much I used. I know there is a very cute little scoop over here, but I don't really use it. As you guys see, I couldn't even find it in the beginning, so I just used my nail. I know it's not the best one, but hey, it's only me use it. This one I find to remove the dead skin is quite good. Sometimes when I did lipstick related videos, I need to, remove the lipstick and reapply it, so it's a little bit damaging the lip, and the following day sometimes your skin start regenerates, then create a lot of dead skins. When that happened to myself, I normally do a thick layer, not overnight, is because my little one sleeps with me, so she likes to nudge it in the evening. So when I have a thick layer, it's not that convenient. Sometimes her hair or her head just bump onto my face, so I normally just leave the thick layer on for about 2-3 hours. When I do the evening cleaning, then I gently use like warm water to scrub it off the dead skin, which worked very nicely. And during the day, like before makeup, I just put a thin layer just to keep the moisture in. The texture I really like. It's not sticky at all. It's very much like to apply lip balm, but it has a little bit minty texture on that. It's not to plump in your lip, but it's very, it's very comfortable and very pleasant, minty, cool, minty feel on your lip. So myself, I quite like it. The only thing is this one, the little scoop, if you don't look after it, it's very easy to get lost. Recently I use a spray first, then I use a primer. I don't know why this side of my face, just out of sudden gets really dry for whatever reason. So I just use the Florasis new setting spray. The old one which is this one. You guys already see the bottle is like, you know, how dirty it is, and this is how much I got left. And this is the original version, this is the newer version. Myself prefer the newer version. One is because, you know, much better bottle. And compared to this one, can you see that how many, you know, scrubs on that already? So I like the newer version. And secondly is the head. The spray head can perform continuously rather than you spray each time. So let me show you. It's like that. It's just so pleasant. It has a very light floral smell. This one does help to extend your makeup. For my face, the locking function is not as long as the L'Oreal one, but compared with other sprays, this one I think is just right behind the L'Oreal. So after that, give a couple of minutes to let the block on your face entirely before you pile up foundations. Technically, you can just use that setting spray, then you apply the foundation. It will help your foundation last longer. But for today's purpose, I know the Florasis primer, I reviewed it before, but I don't think I used it on the face with you guys. No, I did, but it was a long time ago. So my one is I think it's number 3. Is Yurong primer, but this one is oil control one. So this is what it look like when you smudge it out. It's literally like a face lotion, very very light. It only has like very tiny hinted floral smell. That's something I like the Florasis product in general, that doesn't have odd or uncomfortable smell. Is either very hinted pleasant floral smell or just don't have the smell at all. That's something I prefer because smell can be quite personal. If you can't get it right, rather don't get it. This primer, the texture, the finish is really nice, but I think I mentioned before, the oil control perspective, I have a better primer, can deliver better results. Let's put it that way, from oil control's perspective. For pore minimizing, this one on my face is medium. It's not as effective as Benefit one, but it's slightly better than some other primer. So it's like a stay in the middle. Now I would say it's fairly standard in it. This primer, the good thing is I use this primer, work with all the foundations I have. This one doesn't work against with any foundations. It absorbed very quickly. Once it's been absorbed, it's very smooth on your face. That's how you feel the finish on your face. It's not sticky at all. Okay, I have so many foundations of Florasis. I have cushion foundation as well, but I just guessing that the foundation that you guys could be interested the most is still from this lovely bottle. A lot of you guys commented that this just looked like a perfect perfume bottle. Absolutely. So Florasis, if you ever interested into the perfume that segment, do consider similar bottle. I think a lot of us would be interested. So I'm going to use the Florasis Impression of Dye foundation. Oh, before that, let me actually apply a little bit concealer for the dark circle for the under eye, which is also the Florasis one. My one is number 03. This is the palette. Ignore how dirty it is, there is a little brush comes with it. The brush is clumsy, so that's the concealer itself. If you want to know more details, then go back to my full review video, but today we're just going to use it. The formulation, it is very very creamy, and the color itself, I would say is fairly standard. You will find similar colors combination in the market. In terms of performance on my face, if I would score it out of 100, I would give 60. The reason being is on my face, it doesn't last that long. I think that's probably the key challenge I have with it. It doesn't really cakes up. And by the way, the orange color you need to use before the foundation because it's fairly strong pigmentation. So for color correcting, this is perfect. But if you want to use this color after the foundation, you will look odd. Can you see? Although you use before the foundation, right? But once you pile up with foundation, it does removes a little bit. So that's what I'm saying is I think it's not the stickiness. I think it's still the formulation that need to have a stronger grip on your face, on your skin. You see, for correcting purpose, the color itself is good. Move on to foundation. This foundation has very good reviews in China as well, and I also see good feedback on international site as well. The formulation itself, the finish itself is very close to your skin finish, and the texture itself is so fine. You feel like you apply face cream. You don't feel like you apply a foundation. You know, a lot of foundation, once you, especially when you do the spreading on the face, from the edges, you will feel a little bit powdery, but this one is literally like you spread it out like a face cream. The coverage itself, if you use a sponge, is a slightly lighter coverage. If you want to have a good coverage from this one, I would recommend to use a puff like this. It basically soak up less foundation, which will give you slightly better coverage. When I use a sponge, this Florasis dye foundation will only give, let me find my phone, will only give half of the coverage of this bottled one. So when I use the puff, which is fairly good, it's about up to 50 to 60% coverage. So again, I do hard face first for you guys to see. Let me zoom you in a little bit. Firstly, see the reflection. You see on this side, it's contained the same skin reflection. Then let's see the finish. For pore minimizing, you see this, it seems like smoothened out, filtered out about 50% compared to here. Can you guys see? And the coverage, you still can see to compare this two sides. I have a little bit, uneven skin tones, and this side is smoothened out quite well, but still with like a stronger mark like this or here. You still can see. So I think at least one layer is up to 60%. And by the way, this foundation on my face, it doesn't really get oxidized. Can you still see the color? It doesn't really get oxidized, which is really good. If you never used the Florasis foundation before, I would highly recommend this one. Personally, I feel this one would suit more skin types. Because the formulation, they made it quite well. I think it's very much covers you normal to dry and normal to oily. As long as you're not something extremely dry or extremely oily skin, I think this one would work very well. By the way, I know a lot of you ask me that, are they going to increase more shade? Yes, absolutely. I think about quite some time ago, I contacted their customer service and feedback the questions, the queries that you guys have as well. They are fully aware that they need to increase their shade selections, especially for international market. But they did say that this is not some technique that's that easy as we think. You know, it's not as easy that you mix a little bit black color or dark brown color to make the shade you want. It's a lot of skills, techniques involved, so they are still working on it. So let's hope they will introduce more shades and be able to suit everyone. Currently, they shades, if you are medium towards dark or above medium, I don't think you'll be able to find your shade at the moment. Okay, this is the finish, and just going to tidy up a little bit spot marks and just light up my eye bag a little bit. There is another reason that I don't use this concealer palette that often is because the shade, 3 of them, a lot of time I can't just use one on its own, apart from the orange one that I can use before the foundation, but the rest too, I always have to mix it up, because when you use the lighter yellow on its own, it's a little bit too bright for my skin tone. When you use the slightly darker shade on its own, it's a little bit too dark for covering the spot marks on my face. So I always have to mix it, and especially sometime when you in a rush, you ain't got the time. Can you see the difference? Okay, then set with powder, I'm going to use Florasis Impression of Dye Losing Powder. My one is number 01. They have 3 shades. Number 1 is more designed for normal to dry skin, so it has very beautiful skin, subtle sheen. You can't technically tell when you look at the mirror, but when you're facing the lighting and you tilt your face, you will see beautiful, smooth reflection. Number 2, I never use it, but I also have number 3, which is translucent, more designed for combined oily to oily skin. That's one is more matte finish. If you're normal to oily skin, go for number 3. If you're normal to dry skin, go for number 1. This one I normally use with this little puff, which is a very, very good result. But for today, we're going to use their lovely brush. This one is slightly more flat, having good angle itself, but the shape is kind of like a fencing shape. When you touch it, you feel like you stroke your cat, if you know what I mean. I have a cat at home, so I know what I mean. It's like you stroke a cat. That's how soft it is. This one I have it by myself. This one was sent by Florasis for me to try out as well. This is their designed powder brush, and it's a slightly different shape. It's more bulky, more like traditional powder brush. It's so soft, really, really soft. Compare this one with this, I have to say this one is even smoother. This one is even, it's even nicer. It's even nicer. When you use this type of brush, you don't supposed to do this, yeah. You still need to use the angle, use the shape, use the angle of the brush to do more tapping or swirling like that. Today, let me show you. Firstly, I'm using this brush for the under eye area. It's very easy to grab the powder. Can you guys see? And then don't just pile up like that, yeah? You need to make it more even. So screw a little bit on the surface. When you see your powder is all fairly evened out on your brush, and then apply on the face. Let me zoom you in. Press. Press. Can you guys see the blur effect for the under eye? and it's so light. You see, you don't see the powder on your face at all. And then I normally do second layer just in case it gets, melted off afterwards. So I do normally press second layer for the under eye, and then you can hold the brush like this to flatten, to give a little bit pressure like that, and then to press. Then above eyelid as well, as we apply the foundation, and then gently sweep off any extra powders on. Can you feel like how silky this side is compared to here? Then let's use this powder brush. Do you see how easy to grab the powder? And it's already fairly evened out on the brush, but I still do like that. Just don't press it in anymore, just stay on the surface. Tap off a little bit on the cap. Can you see how even it's spread out? And then apply on the face. Okay, this side, remember the reflection and the detail on this side, and you see this side. You can either press and press, or because of the shape, you can just do like this. Can you guys see? It still has a good amount of it. Then I just press on the nose. Can you see how lightweight the brush can give to you? Oh, by the way, if you prefer slightly stronger blurring effect and you don't mind a little bit that more mattify look, the puff would be your best friend. Myself do use puff a lot as well, but if you really want a translucent, a very lightweight, like you applied nothing on your face, brush is your best friend. And then just gently sweep off any extra powder. Can you guys see the finish? When I tilt my face, you still see a skin glow on the face. You don't feel like completely matte at all. When you're looking at this too, it looks similar but different. It is like added a very soft filter. And I use this brush quite a lot. Today, obviously for today's videos, I rewatched the brushes and let it dry, and to show you guys the condition. It's once you wash it and let it dry, it's pretty much just like new itself. I find this brush is so easy to grab the product and to release the product. That I find the good things, because a lot of brushes could have a very good grabbing function, but when they actually release the powder, it sometimes can not cause the cakiness, but sometimes you will feel it grabbed a lot, but when you tap on your face, it seems not that a lot on your face. You still see full of the powders remain on the brush. But this one, I find the grabbing technique and the release technique are very good pair. So have a look at the two difference. I think when we have a little bit distance, you can actually tell. This side is more smooth, like more filtered. Come to the new product now. The full name of this lovely new palette is called Florasis Flowery Makeup Relief Palette. This is the palette that can be used for contour, highlighting, blush, as well as eyeshadows. So first of all, let's have a look at the entire packaging first. This time, it's still kept the traditional theme of Florasis as the brand, but at the same time, you look at the details. The covering inside, I don't know if I'm able to show you guys on the camera. When you tilt it, Okay, when you just look like, when you look straight, it's look like a dark green, right? But when you tilt it, can you guys see a little bit different color? The reflection is more like purple blue. Oh well, if you can't tell them, you have to see it on your own. So the base inside, when you tilt it, it does reflect a slightly different color, which really bring the packaging level up. It's very attention to details. It's very unique, different, but also classic in a way. And inside, it looks like this. I'm going to give you guys a closer up, but the one thing I need to mention that as I use this palette for some time, therefore the covering or the surface is not as detailed, as clear as it was new. So if you want to see the details of the covering of each color, I would recommend to check out their official website, okay? But here, let me show you mainly the colors. This is the contour color. This side is a matte lightening powder. This is a shimmer highlighting powder. This one you can use as a blush or a eyeshadow as well. And to show you guys this way, you still can see, especially this two. I use this contour quite a lot, so you can see here it's quite dirty already. This two, you also can see clear patterns behind it. You know, the full covering you see is like animals as well. I think a lot of Chinese probably know what's the meaning behind it. They are actually Chinese ancient gods of 4 seasons. If you are interested to know the little culture behind it. So very proud of this brand. Is they're very good of tailored Chinese traditional culture into their product, and the way they deliver it is in a such international high level. It is very, how to say, as Chinese is very proud, very proud. The texture, the formulation of itself, so back to the seriousness. You can't only look good, right? You need to be good to use for people to really accept you as a product, right? So let's talk about the texture. First of all, let's see the swatches first. Personally, I really like the highlighting shimmer color as well as the blush. Is so beautiful, really beautiful. The formulation itself, when you touch it, it's dry mud towards more powdery this time. I know you guys probably more experienced their eyeshadow palettes. The eyeshadow palette does contain different formulations, which really gives a best outcome of individual color. This palette is all same formulation. This time compared to their eyeshadow palettes, if you ever used, it would be still has, when you, how to say, when you touch the surface, you still don't feel like dry powder completely. You still feel like you can press it down, that type of feel. But when you swatch it, you feel so silky. It's very smooth. You don't feel any powder feel at all. And when you touch like this, how to say, it's very much like you feel you actually touch a silk material. That's how smooth it is. It doesn't cake up whatsoever, or at least on my face. It's very easy to blend. We're going to use it today. But before that, let me talk about few more, how to say, constructive feedback. First, compare this one with the original contour palette, which is this one. You also would see on their website. This one, they have 2 colors. Oh, you can see the mirror, how dirty. Let me try to fold it. And compare this to the newer version of their contour palette is way much better than original one. Original one, this one was one of my disappointing products from Florasis. The newer version is, it's up so many levels. And just to compare this to contour powder. I have to say, the contour color on the old palette, this version, I really like it. It's very neutral. It's not too gray, neither too chocolatey brown or towards a little bit brick red. This one is right in the middle, so it's very, very good shade color. When you compare this to, discard the pigmentation, okay? Pigmentation, obviously, this one, the newer version is better. When you compare these two colors, the newer versions added a hint of bronzer color, so slightly red, but it's a hinted. Okay, you can't. It's not to that extreme that when you swipe on the face, it look like chocolatey red. It's not like that, but it's in comparison, I would prefer the older shade for my own skin type, but I kind of understand why they change their shade color slightly. This color, because it's more towards a little bit like a bronzer, it's contour and bronzer, they right sit in the middle. This color compared to this one would suit more skin tone. Let's put it that way. Although this is not deeper enough to really support darker color, but this one, I think if you are light to medium skin tone or if a little bit tan, this is a very, very nice shade for you. And another point about this palette is I hope if they can swap this color with this shimmer color would be perfect. A is because the shimmer color, when you have this big size, you're gonna use forever. We use way much less highlighting color compared to the contour color, so the contour usage is way much higher than the shimmer color. If they can swap those two, that would give more benefit of having slightly bigger size of the contour color. B is because the size of it, when you dip, later on I'll show you guys, when I dip the brush in, it's so difficult to not to touch the other two color. Therefore, this edges, I wiped it, but later on you will easily see this edge is so easy to get dirty because the brush, you need to dip into the color, not touching this two. You pretty much kind of using this area mainly. So a personal suggestion to Florasis, if you guys seen this video, if you would ever consider to swap these two colors, so that would be perfect. The shimmer color in the original old palette is this one. These two are different highlighting powder. It has different undertones there. I rarely use this too. I rarely got the opportunity to actually use this too. But this highlighting powder from the original palette, by the way, the powder grinding itself from the original palette is really, really fine, but more creamy fine compared to the newer version, which is more silky fine. That would be the best way to describe it, I think. That's at least how I feel. Anyway, back to the shimmer color from the old palette compared to the new one. It's not even on the same level. It's not on the same level. Okay, this is from the original palette compared to the new one. Both are very fine, but this is a little bit too subtle. And the color, I would prefer the newer palette, newer version. Okay, today what we do is, as we are not having any new eyeshadows, so we're going to use this palette as the main palette today, add a little bit shimmer color from this Impression of Dye eyeshadow palette. This one. So we're going to use two of them. I think I'm going to do the eye looks first, and then we do the face contour, then we move on to the brow. I think it may bother some of you, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. For the eye looks, this time also very much thank Florasis of sending me the set of brushes. Have a look. Oh, I just show you individually. Let's have a look at that blending brush first. First of all, let's see the tail. It's like a feather-shaped carved the tail. From the design and especially from the weight, this one is, let me grab my favorite from Red Earth. Then I can explain. You guys know this is my holy grail, you know, Red Earth, my preferred brush. To compare this to, ignore the shape of the brush itself. What I like to talk about is the weight that actually added onto the brush. The Red Earth one I really like to use is because they have a good weight added at the bottom of the brush. So when you actually hold it, first of all, you feel very steady. It's like when you write a letter, when you use a pen, when the pen has good weight, you sometimes can feel like your handwriting actually looks better by using that pen. It's just because it gives you the steadiness when you actually maneuver your hand. Same apply to the brush. When you have a good weight and when you add it at the back, so it's kind of giving you a, like, you know, support point. It's like it has somebody hold your brush already, and so you easy to maneuver. This one gives you that same feeling. It had, because it is more metalled at the tail end, so it has a very good weight added on this side. So if you really want to get the brush balanced, you probably have to, you know, you do like that. Right? So here is way much heavier than this side, as you can see the difference. Right? When you do the patting and the blending maneuvers, you feel so steady. And secondly, because of the feather-shaped tail end, is giving you a good length of the brush. The Red Earth one is already fairly long, and when you compare this two, can you see? So when you hold it like that, it has good length coming out that sit steadily in your hand. And when you blending it on the eyes, you just feel your hand is steady like a professional makeup artist. I'm keep telling all of you that details design make huge difference on your whole experience. The more convenient, the better result of a product can deliver for you, the more you're going to use it. And also means this particular one suits you more. So today I'm going to use this full set of the brush. They have 5 of them in total. Let me get them into the order. Like that. This biggest one is their blending brush. As you can tell, the size, shape, the thickness, and very soft, by the way, same as their powder brush, is so soft. And the second one is also for padding colors, more detailed blending, slightly smaller size. 2 of them can be multifunctional as well. The third one I normally use just for padding colors, or I use this to blending the colors that needs to be closer to the lash lines. I use this brush. As you can see, the shape is slightly wider but shorter hair. Can you see? And a fairly flat head, which is help you to maneuver the colors closer to your lashes. And the last one is the smallest brush, which is used for a more smaller area for blending, patting colors, adding colors. And the last one is more like to wing it out, more useful the powders if you want to use into like a line shape. So I normally use this for wing out, or apply a little bit of shading color for the eye bag over here.